Number 16, Vanderbilt at number 10, Alabama, 3:30 on ABC. College game day will be here. Alabama is 10.5-point favorites at the current time. Um, just the fact that we have a ranked Vanderbilt team going into Tuscaloosa, and the fact that they're 10-point dogs, which would make it about a touchdown on a neutral field. Like, I never in my life have I ever seen Alabama and Vanderbilt separated by just a touchdown on a
Yep.
neutral field as far as power ratings and talent and everything. And that just, I mean, speaks to the job that Clark Lee has done at his alma mater. Obviously speaks to the job that Diego Pavia has done. And then that's where it starts for me, man, is like we all saw what happened last year. We don't need to rehash it. It's the same exact scenario.
Yep.
Alabama's getting a big win over Georgia, and then they go and they play Alabama. This time Vanderbilt. They're not overlooking Vanderbilt this time. Not at all. And obviously they've got revenge on the mind. So but man, this one's a really, really tough one to pick. And I'm sure it's tough for you too, because on one hand, you like I said, you got the revenge angle and you want to think, and I think you might have even said it in the offseason, like they were gonna hang as many points as they could on Vandy. I don't think anybody expected Vandy to be this good, except for those of us who took them over the win total in the preseason. So it's just and then you got Pavia, in the underdog role again. He's been talking all that trash in the offseason. We heard another quarterback talking trash about Alabama in the offseason. He backed it up. So that's one win right there for quarterbacks who are talking trash. So we're going to see, I think, really a good game on Saturday afternoon, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll see a good game in person on Saturday afternoon.
Yep. Fingers crossed. I'll be at this game. My son is battling some sickness right now, so it depends on that if I get to go or not. Obviously, going to stay here and take care of my little man if that's what duty calls for. But if not, then I will be in Tuscaloosa and Bryant Denny Stadium for this one. So yeah, you're right. I did say what I said in the offseason, and now we've had 4 or 5 games to play, and I'm going to be the first to admit Vandy's for real, bro. This is a team that is absolutely for real. And I'm going to throw out some numbers here. And I just want you to tell me, with the team that I'm about to give you numbers on, I'm about to make you so proud, bro. Metrics again. I'm about to give you some numbers on this Vandy team. And if this team, again, if they were wearing Texas uniforms or Michigan uniforms with wing-ticked helmets, or if they were Ohio State, again, they're the perfect example of that type of team this year. Where would this team be ranked if I told you these numbers right here? Vandy right now is 11. This is in the Power Four. Okay, these are Power Four rankings. Vandy is 11th in the P4 in rushing at 6.5 yards per carry. They're 12th in the Power Four in time of possession, 3rd in the Power Four in converting on third down, top 10 in tackles for a loss allowed, 11th in passing efficiency, top 10 in red zone offense, with 25 touchdowns and 3 field goals out of 29 trips. So they've literally scored on 28 of 29 trips. Now let's go to the other side of the ball. On defense, they're 24th in points allowed on the year, and they're 10th in tackles for a loss and top 20 in sacks. All of those are all of the major categories that you look at, and the other ones, wins and losses, and they're undefeated. If I told you that for any other like big name brand team,
Yeah.
they'd be top 5, bro. I've been saying they'd be a top 10 team. No, bro, they'd be top 5. They would be.
This is a top 10 matchup according to the ATB top 12.
Absolutely. And it should be. I mean, the AP is a joke. We know it's a joke. And so this is not your normal Vandy team, bro. Not at all. I actually think 10.5 points is too much. I actually think if Vandy, again, had a Texas uniform or a Michigan uniform or anything like that with these same numbers and metrics that I just gave you, the Bama would not be a 10.5 point favorite.
Yeah.
I think it would be closer to that touchdown range. Like, again, close your eyes. I know people can't get past. It's even hard. It was hard for me to get past it. It's not hard for me anymore to get past it with this Vandy team. Actually watching them play, when you dive into the numbers too, and then you see the thing, man, that doesn't come on these numbers that I just gave you, which is that absolute just dog that you have in you. I don't think, excuse my French, that revenge factor doesn't mean shit at this point. I heard Clark Lee say in his interview this week when he stepped to the podium, and he talked about Alabama's, revenge and all this kind of stuff. And he just shook his head with a stone cold killer look on his face. And he said, "That's fine." He said, "We're going to Tuscaloosa with an opportunity to change the narrative around here. That's what we're doing here at Vandy right now." And he said, "We'll show up. We'll be ready to play." And he had a look on his face like, again, like, "We're coming to get into the arena with you, stand in the middle of the ring, and let's see who's more man. Let's brawl."
So is his confidence rubbing off on Pavia, or is Diego's confidence rubbing off on Clark Lee?
Both. I mean, you watch the Netflix series and stuff too.
Yeah.
I just think that's a dang good football coach, bro. Like, he's just a great football coach. Like, every major program in college football looking for a new coach, that would be one of the first places you really should look.
I mean, I've heard some of my Notre Dame buddies say, like, if Marcus Freeman were to get poached ever by, like, the NFL or something like
Yeah.
that, like, Clark Lee would be, like, one of the top names on the list for Notre Dame.
100%. And he should be. And yes, the Pavia thing, dude, it's not fake, man. I know some people think some of his stuff's fake. It's not, dude. It is as real as it gets. And I think if you are him and you want to be this Vandy team, you have to be that way. Now, on the flip side of it, I don't care what anybody says. I told you this quietly off air because I knew, because of my fandom, what would come about if I came after the Wisconsin game and was bragging on Ty Simpson after he played UL Monroe and Wisconsin. Tyler can vouch for this. I sent many text messages to him and I talked to him about this off air. I said, "Dude, I don't care if Alabama's in the backyard running routes against air. The throws that number 15 is making are remarkable. He's accurate as can be. He's on time. He's confident, all the stuff."
Yeah.
Lo and behold,
We
after
will
you go ahead.
we will just let everybody know, we will do probably here in a couple weeks, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks or so, like, a little over halfway point. I really want to revisit our preseason quarterback rankings for all the conferences
Yeah.
and redo the
Agreed.
rankings for halfway through the season, because I
Yep.
think a lot of, especially the SEC, we'd have a lot of different orders on there, and this guy would be near the top.
And the other guy we just mentioned, Pavia, would be too
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
this point. But yeah, Simpson was making throws that when you're watching the game, like, yes, I know the competition isn't great, but there's still defenders that are on those receivers, and he's still throwing the football and putting it right on their face mask. Soon as the game ends against Georgia, there's David Pollock doing interviews and doing his podcast saying, I mean, Simpson's putting the ball right on people's face mask on every single throw he's making. Kirby's talking about how deathly accurate that he is and that he's on time, he's confident. Almost, maybe they were in our text chain, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
After that, but my point is, this Alabama offense, if you don't get pressure on Ty Simpson, I don't care who you are defensively, he's going to pick you apart. So can Vandy find a way to get pressure on Ty Simpson? Because if not, it's going to be a long day for that Vandy
Yeah.
defense.
And that's where it worries me for Vandy, is, like, we've seen them, obviously they're blowing out teams, but
Yep.
they're also giving up 21 points to Georgia
Yep.
State, and they're giving up 35 points to Utah State, and you're just like, that's it doesn't speak to the defense. Now, they did give up 7 to kind of like a broken South Carolina offense on the road. Maybe they're a little more focused. I don't know
Sellers,
what the deal was.
Sellers
Yeah,
got injured early in that game
Sellers
too
got
with a
hurt. They bring
concussion.
in a wide
Yeah.
receiver at quarterback.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where it starts for me, is the Vandy defense. But yeah, man, you talked about Simpson, and dude, with the DeBoer and the Grubb offense, we've harped on it since they left Washington. Like, if they get a quarterback who is pinpoint accuracy, like we were watching 2 years ago, Michael Penix make some throws that were just like Ty Simpson is
Yeah.
making right now.
Yeah.
And like this, we're just like, dude, he just throws such a pretty ball. And now he's on the Falcons and he's struggling a little bit. Okay. But Ty Simpson's doing the same exact thing right
Yep.
now. And that may sound crazy to some people who haven't watched a lot of Alabama before the Georgia game, or, haven't listened to this show a lot, but he's doing the same exact thing and making the same exact throws that Michael freaking Penix was making.
Yep, and that Washington offense had just legit, and they're all in the NFL right now, wide receivers. Alabama has a very, very good, one of your better overall wide receiver cores in college football. Again, if you give Simpson time, at least one of those receivers is more than likely going to win their matchup in the secondary and be open. So if you give him time, as accurate as he is, they're going to be a problem, man, for anybody to stop. Where Alabama has to improve, though, they've got to be able to run the football, man. Jim Miller being back, I think, will help with that. I'm interested to see how they do that this week, because that is also a huge thing, man. That, like, what killed Alabama last year in this game, Vandy was like a billion for a billion on third down. And this year, Vandy is one of the best teams in college football right now in third down conversion percentage. They're one of the best teams in the country in time of possession. They dominated Alabama on third
Yeah.
down and in time of possession. That was the difference in the football game in Nashville last year. That right there, that stat alone. We talked about how Alabama dominated on third down against Georgia. That pretty much is what beat Georgia last week in Athens. Vandy is that good on third down, and they keep the ball away from you on offense. So, as good as Ty Simpson is, and as good as this Alabama offense is, if Vandy plays keep away and is just converting one after another third down and running 30 seconds off the play clock every single play, Ty Simpson and that offense won't get the rock. It won't be able to run their offense. So
Yeah.
Alabama has to figure out a way to slow Diego Pavia and this offense down and get them off the field on third down. And that is where I use this phrase, I think, on every game now. That is where it starts and ends for me. That is where it starts and ends for me in this game.
Yeah.
Is on third down when Alabama's on defense. Can they get Pavia and that Vandy offense off the field? And if they do, honestly, it could be a double digit, type win. But I think this Vandy team is good enough that they're going to show up into Tuscaloosa, and this is going to be a war.
Yeah.
I do think Vandy is going to give Bama all they want in this game,
I
bro.
mean, you think the governor of Alabama is just going to waltz in there and get blown out?
I know. Was he like 4-0, I think,
Yeah,
against
and
teams
like
from Alabama in his
again,
career?
I know we joke about that, but like he's gone into some hostile environment. He's gone into Jordan-Hare twice
Yep.
in one games, and
This
the dude's not afraid of any environment at all.
He's not. And dude, but I just want to mention this. He's not, but I will say when he went in as New Mexico State against a 100-loss
Yeah,
Auburn team, I mean, there's 10 people in this, you know what I mean? Like, and then he went in at noon last year against a 4 or 5
yeah, but
loss
he
Auburn
didn't
team.
care about any of that voodoo either. He's like,
No, he
what's
didn't.
voodoo?
He didn't. And to the defense of that, this place will be charged up and
Should be.
rocking. So
Hmm.
yeah. So this is the biggest moment. The biggest moment of his career, obviously, is when he beat Alabama last year. This is the biggest moment of his career. He goes into Alabama and beats Bama at Bama after they already beat him last year and proves that wasn't a fluke. He goes into Tuscaloosa with a zillion people there, the place charged up, everything to play, all that stuff. They're not sleeping on you. They're talking about all off season, the revenge factor, all that goofy stuff that, doesn't matter when the ball kicks off. Yeah, dude, he really might be. We got all these former football guys running for Senate and whatnot instead of Alabama. Pavia might run for Senate after this instead of Alabama if he goes and wins this game.
He's not going to be
But
welcomed in the state anymore. So
yeah, and a thing to keep an eye on: James Smith, the best
yeah,
defensive lineman for Alabama, was knocked out of the Georgia game in the second half with the biggest BS targeting call I've ever seen in my life. So he will not be there to play in the first half. Quay Russaw, ironically, his high school teammate, both of them were 5 stars coming out of Carver, Montgomery. Quay Russaw is once again injured for him. He spends more time off the field than he does
yeah,
on the field, unfortunately. So there will be a couple of talented, but maybe not as experienced guys that are playing along that defensive line, especially in the first half. So again, they got to figure out a way, man, to
and we
corral Diego
we talk about
Pavia.
it too with that offense. That offense is difficult. It's very similar to the Florida State offense.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It is.
difficult to defend, so they got to adapt quickly. They got
Yep.
to make changes quickly.
It's
If they're getting beat on the edges, they got to make changes quickly.
It's their own version of like a more modern triple option. I mean, that's literally
Yeah,
what it is. Like
yeah,
Pavia has the option to hand it off, run it, or throw the football. It's just not your military academy type triple option. It's a different, more like again, more
yeah,
modern.
yeah.
Game pick in this game. Yeah, I think Alabama's going to win this game. I do think that Ty Simpson and that offense is going to end up being too much for the Vandy defense. But this is going to be a stressful game for Alabama fans. Pavia will make plays, and that offense will keep them in it. I mean, if it's not a best bet, but I think Vandy covers that 10.5, and I think
Yeah.
Alabama wins the game.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, just forecasting here, like a Vandy win or an Alabama loss, like what does that do for Clark Lee? What is a loss again to Vandy? Like coming off the Georgia again, like what would that do to Kalen DeBoer? Like all it just, I mean, so far we've had Alabama fans a month ago wanting to look up the guy's buyout, and then I'm seeing on Instagram after the Georgia game, like that's my head coach with that rah rah speech. It's just it's up and down with this guy so far. and he's sky high right now again.
Yeah.
And these again, I know Vandy's ranked and everything, but it's just like they're still Vandy, and I hate to say that because like we've been touting them up, but like it's not a Georgia, it's not Tennessee, it's not
Yeah.
it's just still kind of looked at as like Vandy, his little brother. These are the kind of games that he's struggled with, where like maybe his team's not as super high, but you got to think they will be this time, right? This
Yep.
game is so
Yep.
fascinating.
This will not if Alabama loses this game, it will have nothing to do with that they weren't, like, focused or fired up,
Mhm.
ready to play.
Like last
If
year.
if they're not, then that just we got another story for another day. I just think this is gonna be straight up, like, Bama's gonna have to give Vandy their best shot, and Vandy's gonna give Bama their best shot, and I actually do think that Vandy with Cedric Alexander at tailback, who had 2 touchdowns on them last year, who's their leading rusher right now, him and Pavia. Eli Stowers, obviously, is the best tight end in college football, and they've got 3 other wide receivers who've been very productive. Dude, I just think that Vandy offense is tough to prepare for and defend.
Yeah.
Is going to have success. It's going to be a really good game, but I think Bama will get it done, and but I don't think they cover.
Yeah, I think Bama wins. I think Vandy covers. Just one thing I'm looking for is whoever lands the first punch, how does the other team react, right?
Yep.
Vandy goes in there and they do exactly what they did to South Carolina at night in Williams-Brice. When we kind of all thought of South Carolina at that time as a good team, they went and punched them in the mouth 7-0 right away, and South Carolina couldn't recover. So I want to see, if Vandy comes out and does that, how does Alabama react? And then vice versa, Alabama comes out, marches right down the field and scores. How does Vandy like? Do they still stick to their guns and stick to like their time management, their clock management, all that? So should be a good one to watch at 3:30 on ABC.
Love it.
All right, that's it for us. We'll be back later on this week to recap all week 6 games. Like we said, it's sleepy Saturday, but we know it's not going to be sleepy. We know we're going to have stuff to talk about after week 6, and it's going to be crazy. Week 7 and 8 look packed, so stick with us, man. We're going to be prepping some games. We're previewing them. Again, we're all over X, Instagram, and TikTok at Always Talking Ball. And then obviously, like we said at the beginning, click that subscribe button, click that follow button on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. It would help us out greatly. Appreciate you sticking around for this long. For Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Noe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.